So I'm 33. I was born in the 80s. I remember sitting on my parents' waterbed and watching my mom put on blue mascara and layering concealer over foundation to cover up her freckles because she was like very ginger, lots of freckles, big red hair. And I remember her always being beautiful. I don't remember her being particularly strong or outspoken, but she was always beautiful. My dad, he was strong. He was charismatic, huge personality, life of the party kind of guy. The person that would make you feel comfortable and at ease and laugh without even knowing it. They had met at a bar. In true to fashion, my dad's pickup line, without knowing her, without saying hello, he turns to her and opens with, "Will you marry me?" And she said yes. And they live states away, so they fall in love over phone conversations. And she decides to marry him. And they get married, and then she realizes that there's a lot more to him. He's an alcoholic, and he's an addict, substances and gambling, and he's unfaithful. And more than anything, he has a violent streak when he's angry. But she did a really good job of keeping that out of our awareness, me and my sister, when we were little. I remember my dad being fun-loving and silly. He would take care of us. He would wake me up really early before school, and we would go fishing, and then we'd be back in the house, slip into bed before my mom and sister even woke up. And he had 9 fingers. He had lost a pinky in some freak snowmobile accident before we were born. But he told us it was because he picked his nose too much, that one day it just fell off. Then he came home from work one day with a box, and he said that his long lost pinky was inside the box. He had drilled a hole underneath that I didn't know about, and he stuck one of his still attached fingers in it. He told me to pick it up, and when I did, it grabbed me back, and I remember screaming and laughing, and that's how I remember my dad. I also remember laying on my belly on the carpet with my ear to the vent in the basement, listening to my parents fighting, because my mom would always ask to take it down into the basement so we wouldn't see, but I remember hearing. And still, it came as a surprise to the 7-year-old version of me when they sat me down on that waterbed and told me they were getting a divorce. I didn't understand, because they loved each other, and their love was playful and silly and light, and I asked my mom, "If you love Dad so much, how could you divorce him?" And I'll never forget her response. She said, "Your father could make me laugh harder than any other man, and he could make me cry harder too." And in that moment, there was this awareness of who would settle for that type of love? Who would stick around in a love that would make them feel bad? That would make them feel worse than anyone has ever made them feel? It would make them cry harder than they've ever cried? Only a weak person would stick around for that kind of love. And I decided in that moment I would never settle for that type of love. And I haven't. Fast forward to 2 years later, we're in the part of the divorce where we're on weekend rotation visits with my dad. And it's Sunday afternoon, we're packed up all our stuff. I even brought my salamanders this weekend. 2 salamanders in this 20-gallon glass aquarium tank, and everything's ready by the door. And my mom comes to pick us up, and we're just telling her about what we did over the weekend. And my dad spots a diamond tennis bracelet on her wrist. And he knows that she would never buy that for herself, that it must have come from a man. And so he says, "Red," that's what he used to call her, big red hair. "Red, where did you get that bracelet?" And it was from Danny, who was her boyfriend at the time, who was also a family friend, so he knew him. And she says, "It's from Danny." And in that millisecond, he moved faster than any human I've ever seen. And he had ripped the bracelet off, it went flying across the living room, and he had pushed her into the wall. And he just keeps pushing her into that same spot in the wall. And she's not even trying to get away. She's not trying to stop at all. And he's shorter than her, but he's stronger, and he's jumping, right? Just trying to keep her in place. And then pushing her into the wall becomes pushing her down the hallway, and then pushing her into the bathroom where he slams and locks the door. And we can hear him yelling from inside, and we can hear her screaming. And more than anything, I remember the sound of the toilet seat slamming down. You know when you're not expecting it to fall, but it crashes and it strikes you inside, just that slam! Just over and over and over and over. And I didn't know what to do. My sister's 2 years older than I was, and I just remember looking at her like, what's our move? What do we do? And she yells at the bathroom door, "Let Mom out or I'm calling the police." She had a way of getting people to do what she wanted. She was the older sister, so she always called the shots, generally. And then the bathroom goes quiet, and you can hear my dad whisper something to my mom. And then my mom says, as best she can without whimpering or crying, "I'm fine. Don't call the police. I'm fine." I look at my sister, what do we do? And by now she has the phone clutched to her chest, and everything was still attached by cords at that point, so she had pulled all the way from the living room down the hall towards the bathroom, and she's yelling at the door, "I need to see that Mom's okay, or I'm calling the police." And because she always had a way, he opens the door, and I remember him sitting on the sink, and I could see his back in the mirror, and he says, "See, your Mom's okay." And my mom was in just a human puddle on the ground near the toilet. She didn't look at us. And then he pushes us out of the bathroom and he locks the door again. And I don't really remember how it ended, if she got away or if he let her go. But I remember the sound of the bathroom door opening and her yelling, "Girls, get your stuff, we're going." And so I grabbed my stuff as fast as I could and I bolted out the closest door, which was the patio door. And I didn't see the screen still in place, and I didn't even know what happened, but I bounced off of it, landed in the carpet covered with aquarium gravel and salamander water. And we scooped everything up as fast as we could and ran to the car and drove away. And driving away, I remember she was gripping the wheel so tight, and she was going in and out of these bouts of complete silence and then hysterical crying. And then she would gather herself back together and then go silent. And then eventually she broke the silence with apologies. "I'm sorry you guys had to see that. I'm sorry for your father. I'm so sorry that happened." And I remember even as a kid, sitting in the back seat, telling my mom, "You don't have to be sorry for what just happened to you." But she kept apologizing. A few years later, we ended up moving away, states away, to Jersey from Chicago. My dad stayed in Chicago. He died about 10 years ago. In preparing to tell the story to you guys, I realized that bit that I don't remember, I wanted to figure out what had happened. So I called my sister, I told her what I was doing, I was going to tell this story. And so we kind of compared notes. And she remembers something a little bit different. She remembers the bracelet, and she remembers the pushing. But she can see him pushing and jumping over the little half wall that led to the kitchen and grabbing a knife. And then he had a knife. And then she remembers the police coming. That's how it got confused. She said that's when she learned that if you call 911 and hang up, they still come, because the police came that day. That's when she learned that. That's what she told me. So we have 2 sets of conflicting information. And my dad's not around anymore, so we can't call him to clarify. So we call my mom. We're like, "We need the play-by-play." And she was like, "That wasn't even one of the worst ones, but what I remember was no knife. He didn't need a knife. He never needed a knife. He was strong enough without one. He may have had one, but I didn't see one. And I don't remember the police being called. I remember driving to my grandparents' house afterwards. And nobody remembers the salamanders except me. But the thing is, those details, those nuances, those individual moment-by-moment happenings, that's not actually what matters. Not now. What matters is whether we've integrated that experience or we've allowed it to fragment us. That's what matters now. Sitting, drinking wine with my mom a few years ago, I finally had the gumption to ask, why stay? Why be that weak person? Why not ask for help? Why not leave? Why not tell the police? Why not anything? Why stay with him as long as you did? And she said she was afraid for her life, that he had threatened to murder her many times or steal us. She was like, "Don't you remember? We used to practice." My sister remembers, but I don't. My mom would say, "What happens if I die?" And then my sister and I would say, "We asked to see the body. Because surely if she had died, it was either because my father had murdered her or because he had stolen us and told us a lie." And so she would practice with us. But I can't remember that. It's just plucked out of my memory, out of my awareness. Perhaps like the knife, I don't know. And then I asked, why stay? She said, because she was afraid. And I said, but you could tell the police, you could tell anybody. And she said, no. Your father was friends with all the police. They wouldn't believe me. They loved him. He had so many get out of jail free cards. It wouldn't have made a difference. And besides, if you asked your father, he would say that he never hit me. How could he say that he never hit you? And she said, well, because he never actually struck me with his hand. That's what he had over me. He would hit me with things, he would kick me, he would shove me, he would push me places, but he never physically struck me with his hand, and so he could say he never hit me. So that's what he would say. And I said, how does that even happen? How does a man love a woman and call that love and treat somebody like that? How does a human being even treat another human being that way? And she reminded me that his parents were both alcoholics and abusive, that he was the oldest of 8 kids, and that they would use him as an example when he was bad. And she told me that they would chain him in the basement for days when he was bad, and they wouldn't feed him, and then his siblings would come and laugh at him down there. And so that's how he was shown love. So fucked up. And I don't know what kind of fucked up stuff happened to his parents to let them think about was love, but what I know is that trauma and the darkness that he had isn't just born randomly. It's passed through from person to person in bloodlines from the people that we love unintentionally. And although in my childhood I don't remember his darkness being that way, I can see it now. I can see that I cloaked it with light. And I can see that my mom was graceful in allowing us to perceive him however we wanted without making him out to be some dark monster. But I refuse to let his darkness sit in some creepy corner of my mind, growing in space. I'm going to air out that wound, that darkness, and let it heal in hopes that maybe it might remind you of something in you that you need to share and shed light on. It's worthy to note also that my sister and I both have made careers out of yoga. She owns a yoga studio in Jersey, and I teach yoga and meditation and mindfulness here and in Yellow Springs. And at the end of every yoga class, the teacher says to the student, Namaste. And that word means the light in me sees and honors and reflects the light in you. Of course, we have made a lifelong journey of cultivating the light in others, of mirroring the light in others, of removing the darkness that is so prevalent in the world today. So 25 years later, my mom still apologizes for ridiculous things like loading the dishwasher wrong. And she's still, really great at the silent treatment. But it's not because she was weak. She was never weak. She's always been a warrior. She's been a warrior of the light. And she made sure that my sister and I grew up to be warriors of the light as well. Namaste. Thank you.